That's my rant. I'm tired. I'm tired. I'm tired of this relentless, get it done, get it done. No, I'm taking a step back, and hey, some days suck. Some days are bad, and some days it's really great to get a lot done. So I'm balancing things. I'm anti goals and anti-productivity right now. Rant's over. I am your Toastmaster tonight. So we have two great speakers, and both those speeches will be evaluated. And I'm going to be managing this portion of the meeting. Our first speaker tonight is Constantine. He asking, what do you want to accomplish for the rest of the year? He didn't give me a rant. He actually had a very nice comment, which was, there's only like a month left. He's going to focus on family and friends. What a nice answer. The path that he's working out of, is that what it's called now when you say the path?
Yeah.
So his path, which is the manuals that he's working in, is all about finding your leadership, exploring your leadership style. That is so good. That's such an excellent topic, and it's a good thing for all of us to find how we are as a leader. And his speech tonight is focused on finding his leadership, and it's titled The Unrefined Leader. Please welcome Constantine.
As most of you know, I have been the president of this club for about 5 months now. I had no idea how that worked at the beginning. I hope no one noticed. I hope. It took me about 2 to 3 months to understand what is Toastmasters. And actually Toastmasters turned out to be way more than I thought initially it was. It took me about 2 to 3 months to understand actually what the club is and what is the other side of being a member of this club. But there's one thing which I still don't know, and I want your help tonight to help me to figure this out. How to be a good leader. I have spent quite some time trying to do some research on leadership and styles, and I was going through Toastmasters manual on this as well. I still have no answer. So what qualities does a good leader have? Do you have an answer?
Vision.
Vision. I'm actually prepared to write them down.
Good listener.
Good listener. Amazing. Anyone else?
Empowers others.
Leads by example.
Anyone else?
Communicate.
Communicate. I love that. Any other ideas? I feel like list is way too short.
Empathy.
Empathy?
Flexible.
I like that too. Flexibility.
Authentic.
Authentic. Yes, Gary.
Influential.
Love that.
Inspirational.
Good.
Self-aware.
I was able to write that fast. Any other ideas?
Integrity.
Integrity. Love that.
Owns their own mistakes.
wanting to make a difference. I don't know if somebody said that.
Make a difference.
Inspiration.
Inspiration. I think we have this. Yes.
Is hungry.
Hungry.
Yeah.
Hungry for
Hungry for more motivated, driven.
I like driven.
20 pounds.
Yes,
That's
ma'am.
what hungry.
Lead by example.
I think we
Oh,
do
did
have
we
this
do
one.
that?
Any other thoughts?
The inspire. Because manage everything.
Carrie had another thought.
Able to deliver results.
That's good. I would compile this with the with vision, communication, results.
Understands the bigger picture.
I would say this is similar to vision.
Competent.
Competent?
And
That's a
fun.
good thought.
That's a no.
And that's what I noticed, that we actually have about 5 areas right now of skills. And those particular traits which you have mentioned somehow related to one of those 5s. This is communication. There were a lot of comments about communication, and actually my prior speech was dedicated to communication. We all fail how to communicate our thoughts and ideas. It's okay to fail. What's not okay is not being able to learn on your mistakes. So I would encourage you, if you feel like you miscommunicated something, or someone else miscommunicating something to you, or I'm miscommunicating something to you, just say, hey, is this what you meant to say? This is such an easy way how to fix misunderstanding. Lead by example is absolutely amazing, fantastic area. You cannot really demand from anyone to do something if you are not able to do the same. And I mean, not exactly in the terms of skill set, but if you require presence here at Toastmasters, you have to attend yourself. If you require someone to be at work early, and if you are a manager, you have to be on time when you promise you're gonna be there. Being open-minded, being perceiving different ideas. And we had a whole bunch of amazing examples on our leadership team when Matthew actually last time came up with an amazing idea about agendas and how we should restructure a little bit. Or Connor came up with an amazing idea to move all the membership applications online. We actually have all the sign-up forms on Google Sheets. Personally, I had never been able to think about that because my mind was busy with something else. Share your ideas with your friends, with your colleagues. It's so great. And demonstrates integrity. If you do require someone to be confident, to require them to do what they say, you have to do it yourself. I promise you to do my best and adhere to all these traits you just named. However, when I fail, please come back and say, and cut in me. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Constantine. To all our many guests tonight, you come through the door because you really want to become a better public speaker, and that's great, and that takes a long time to become confident and a better speaker. A beautiful thing about Toastmasters is what Constantine was just talking about. It's leadership. There's so many opportunities to work on your leadership skills. I love to see that the president of the club or people to raise their hand to say, yes, I want to lead the club. And this is a big opportunity to be a leader. So leadership is great, and that's a big part of Toastmasters. I just thought I'd throw that in for the people that may be signing up or are interested in Toastmasters. Our next speaker tonight is Mina Fung. Now Mina, what does she want to accomplish next year or for the rest of this year? 2 things, reflection and party, which is kind of an interesting combination, I thought. The path that she's working on is all about body language. And for where she comes from Hong Kong, this is a real challenge for her because body language is not something that is common in her culture. So there's some pretty significant hurdles that she's overcoming with this speech. So great for her to challenge herself. And her speech title is Paintball War Games. Please welcome Mina.
Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster. So when I do body language, I better move things away just in case I knock it off. It was an early summer morning in New Jersey. A group of us just pulled to the parking lot of this paintball game park. I was a little bit surprised, to say the least, because the game park is actually a real battleground to me. It's in the wilderness, in the woods, with a few wooden structure for defense purposes. After the briefing, after trying on the camouflage onesie, the mask, the guns, I told my friends, I can't do this, I'm out. And they asked, we'll be here for the next 8 hours. It's a whole day game. You sure you want to be out? You're bored to death. And plus we won't be going back to New York until after dinner. I said yes. Good evening, fellow Toastmasters and most welcome guests. You may ask, didn't you know before you go? Yes, of course I did. But I was in New York visiting friends at the time, and I have been there for a week. Visiting New York from Vancouver makes me feel like I'm from a fishing village because the census there is like 1,000 times heightened, and all of us have to keep up. We're always with a big group of friends. There's so many things, and so I say yes to almost everything that sounds fun. At the time, I was 10% lighter than now. In Vancouver, when people say, you're skinny, I'll say, no, I'm not skinny, I just have small bones. Here I am in the park, when the fear kicks in, I'm thinking to myself, I can't run, I can't jump, and I have small bones, I'll fall back on my face and break all my bones. Okay, I'm out. And my friends were assuring me, calm down. We have the whole park to ourselves, we'll go to different fields, and you'll be safe. Plus, there's only like 5 or 6 girls, and you're the only one who's backing up. With peer pressure, or what you call gender pressure, I said, okay, I'll stay. So the game is, there will be 6 rounds, there's 10 on each side, and we'll be going across each other and then steal the flags. When we get a shot by once, we have to leave the round. When we get shots like 3 times, we have to leave the game completely. After 4 rounds, I got shot twice. It's shockingly painful, but at this time, my fears are all gone. I am at this time increasingly frustrated because I haven't been able to hit any target. How many of you know it's quite challenging to hit a running target with anything? So at round 5, there's only 5 of us left now. We have to, then when we're approaching the other side, we have to run across between the trees. We have to duck, we have to hide, we have to shoot and pivot, do whatever we need. No one went into the open field, as you can imagine. To my left, suddenly I saw a guy, a friend, from the other side, of course, went across the field. I was so happy, and I was start shooting non-stop. This time, I got 5-6 hits. I have to admit, it feels so good. At game 6, I'm the only girl left now on the field, and our strategy is to cross to the other side, have me crawling around the riverbank so no one will see me while my teammates distract. So I start crawling, I quickly went over, I saw the wooden structure with the flag, I crouched down, ready to stand up, and turned and climb up. At that time, a gun was pointed to my head from the towel, and I heard a familiar voice said, "Don't move." Game over. At the dinner, we all looked at each other. We were like laughing, we were joking about the pink, and we saw the impact of the paintballs. There are so many rings coming from the center. There's all sorts of shades of colors, like blue, purple, red. It's amazing how human beings can produce some beautiful shades. It's fascinating. We're all good sports. We're all good. So, thinking back, I wonder what's the moral of this experience? Besides, thou shalt not harm in normal circumstances, I realize there are two things. On the dark side, we are quite capable of doing unimaginable things when in bad situation, like in war zones. On the bright side, we are so malleable. We can all reach our full potentials by stretching ourselves, by playing at the edges, by making the comfortable uncomfortable and uncomfortable comfortable. So next time when you catch yourself and say, I can't, perhaps you can say, yes, I can, and I will. Our ambitions transcends size, age, roles, gender, and race. Tomorrow morning, when you open your eyes, will you dare yourself to play at the edges? Thank you.
Thank you, Mina. I wasn't sure where this was going, but in the end, it was a motivational speech on paintball. Never, ever been paintballing. How many people have paintball in the room? Never done it. It sounds like fun. Mina's a real killer, I think. Well, as the story unfolded, she's right down hitting the moving target. Eek. Excellent speech. How did that feel with the body language?
Good.
Good?
Shaking.
It's excellent. It's well done. For our guests out there, all speeches, in fact, anyone who comes up and speaks in front of the audience is evaluated by someone. Either that's a general evaluator or a speech evaluator. In this case, we've had two people watching these two speeches, and they're going to come up and they're going to evaluate that speech, or each speech, and they get 3 minutes to do that. Our first evaluator to evaluate Konstantin's speech is Bojana. I was chatting with Bojana at the break. What does she want to accomplish in the next year, in the next month and a half, is it keto or keto? Keto diet. Very interesting, been around for hundreds of years. Should try that. Welcome, Bojana.
Good evening, fellow Toastmasters and most welcome guests. It's my pleasure to evaluate Konstantin's speech about leadership. And it's an interesting topic because we don't have too many good leaders and we need them. So to be a good leader, it would be good to know what are the qualities of a good leadership as well. I I found his speech very, very honest, for one thing. He came and he said he's our president of our club for the last few months, and he said how much struggle it was to, like, as he said, it took him 2-3 months before he figured out like how difficult it is and how much help he needed from his vice presidents of the club. I like that idea that he connected with people. He asked the questions, so it was very interactive. And because of that, we were all, I would assume, I was very focused and I was listening what he wanted to say. And because we were giving him ideas, we were all engaged. I don't know how difficult it would be, but writing the ideas on a paper, it would be nice to have a screen or maybe a big piece of paper and write the ideas on it, so everybody can see it. Because we are learning from it as well, and people think like, what can I think about something? And at the same time, you don't think that somebody else already maybe said that. And I think if we all said it would be kind of nice. He showed a great sense of humor as well. We were laughing at some point too. Like some of this idea was like to be competent, and he said, yeah, that would be a good idea. One thing that I could kind of point, when you give a speech, try not to use negative sentences. And there were not too many of them, but there was a sentence, for example, you cannot expect people to do something if you don't do it yourself. And for me, that's a negative sentence. You can say the same thing as a positive thing. If you do show people your courage, if you do this and you do that, then people will follow you. So I noticed a lot of really good speeches usually don't use negative sentences. So that would be one kind of tip. I think in conclusion, also I would like him to maybe mention how these ideas that we gave him, how that influenced his leadership style, how good it was, how great it was to have that impact from other people. Otherwise, I think the speech was really, really good. It was really interesting. It was a speech that we really should listen to, and we did. And small things like being very positive and what else? Not having negative sentences. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Rosanna. Excellent evaluation. And what she first said when she came up is, it's a good speech, and I think leadership is really needed. The more I watch TV, and I don't watch it much at all, yeah, we need leadership. We really need leadership. It's an awesome skill for everyone to learn. Our next evaluator is Jeff to evaluate Mina's speech. Now, Jeff, in the next month and a half, what he wants to accomplish is, he is on a pump because he's a diabetic, and he wants to give his doctor feedback on whether the pump works or not. And Jeff, it's interesting. So Jeff is Canadian and Taiwanese.
Yeah.
Big family. He goes back to see his family, and he gets his meds in Taiwan as opposed to here because it's actually cheaper, so he can get the flight over to Taiwan, visit his big family, and get his meds. It's an excellent idea. Please welcome Jeff.
Well, the reason I need to the insulin pump because my body did not make any insulin reaction. So when you say lost weight, you know how easy I can lose weight? Eat ice cream. Quickly to lose, very, very quickly. Yeah. Eat ice cream to lose a dime. Sounds great, right? Okay, Mina, I think he did a body language. I think he got excellent voice. Then his voice action quite good, just move this one. Because he said he won't hear, then body language beginning deliver. First thing he already do the body language. Also the very good is in the topic he says war game, but it's like a pity the topic you chose, you can use quite big body language to show all the game. So you move it slightly too narrow. Also, body language, the one key point is your face. Face also one of the part of the body language. You got to show you angry, you sad, or you win happy on your face. Not only just move, also face. Face can show a lot of things. The one part of the body language people always ignore, just say, I have to do this one, this one. How about your face? You can do your face very sad, very angry, or very good. That's your face on the body language. But overall, I think you deliver a very excellent job for this one. The beginning speech I already talked to you. Oriental people, body language is a real weak part. Because the culture, we really quite limited. You know, I talked to my daddy. When I was young, I only stand still, even cannot sit down. Then what's the body language? You got to like stuck in there, then just listen and say yes without any right to say no. But move to here. See, I just did a speech contest judge. The Oriental people always lost the point in the body language part. I think your content, everything's good, but body language just weak. Then, they're probably only 1 point, 2 point different. Then this point could keep you down. So next time, just do it and learn it. One day you will beat your husband. You also need some body movement, right?
So that was the best evaluation I think I've ever heard. And just so the audience knows, that wasn't planned. So the best body language evaluator ever would be Jeff. To evaluate his speech on body language. And you think we planned that? No. That was just luck. Thank you, Jeff. That was excellent. There you go, Mina. Take that and prosper. Run with it.
Yes.
I want to thank our two speakers tonight and, of course, our evaluators. Excellent session. I am now going to pass it back to our awesome chair.
Two fantastic speeches. Two fantastic evaluations. Now we're kind of rolling into the closing ceremonies of this meeting. So first I'd like to invite up our two support roles for the evening to give us their reports. And, Leon and Jessica.
Get up here, Liam. Gosh, guys, that was incredible. Was listening very intently, trying to write down all of your R's, likes, etc. I'm going to go through them now, but it was very difficult. You were all incredible. So, damn it, I'm going to commend myself. I'm a victim of my own regime. So, Jillian, I have you as 2. David, our educator, 0. Nancy, just 1 there. Leon, I could not find any ums for you, so well done. Joseph, 1. Eric, 0. Matthew, 1. Jordan, 3. Kelvin, 2. Megan, 6. Leon, again, 0 as the table topics. Constantine, 0. Damn it, I'm doing it to myself. Patrick, 0. Mina, 1. Bazina, 1. Jeff, 3. And Kevin, 5. So thank you.
Hello, Toastmasters and most welcome guests. We're on time.
No, I'm just kidding. One thing that I noticed for the table topics, all of us could have used a little more time. So we had Eric, you were at 58 seconds. Really good for a first time up here. Just try and wait for that green light. I know it takes forever the first time, but when you see it, you'll know what to aim at. Then we had Matthew at 120, which is all good. Jordan, we had 53 seconds. So again, just right below that green light, but you're like right there. Just 7 more seconds. Just throw in a pause, and you have your 7 seconds. Kelvin, 48 seconds. But really great content. There we go, I know words. Very good content. You had a lot there, and again, I think if you used a bit more pauses, slowed down a little bit, you would have hit your time no problem. Cool. Leon, excellent, really good work. So Megan, we're rivals. You did really well. You hit 125. I hit 138. No big deal. But it's a good time. As far as for our speeches, great job, guys. I think the waving around and shaking my head really helped people finish on time. So we had no one actually go over time. New thing for the club.
Thank you both. Everything in Toastmasters is evaluated. Even the evaluators, and even the support roles, and even me. Here to be our general evaluator for the evening is Chad Sichelli.
Fellow Toastmasters and most welcome guests. This is my first time doing general evaluation, and I have to admit I wasn't sure how I was going to approach it, because I've got to evaluate, I think it was 14 people in total in 10 minutes. That's really hard, because that gives me 40 seconds each, give or take. So what I've decided to do is I'm actually going to follow Patrick's lead. When he did general evaluation, I believe it was a couple weeks ago, and what he did is he just talked about 3 broad themes, and then he identified people as they either exemplified or could be elevated on those themes. So the first theme that I actually identified tonight that I felt was exemplified very well by everybody was preparation. Everybody came and had prepared their speeches and had really thought about what it was that they were going to speak about. However, in preparation, you also have to think about just before you get on stage, not preparing your speech well before you get on stage. And that's the warm-up. And warm-up is incredibly important. Anybody who plays any sport whatsoever, you know that before you're going to actually get to the game and start playing, Jordan and I play on the same hockey team. And the first thing that we do is we always make sure that we're very early to the game so that we can get changed, so that we're waiting at the gate when the Zamboni gets off the ice, so that we can get on the ice immediately and get the nerves out, so that we can start skating. We can start getting back and forth, stretch a little bit, so when it's actually time to play the game, when the ref blows that whistle, whew, all right, we're ready, and we're ready to go. Now, everybody could have a different type of warm-up routine, and it's going to be different for everyone, but you need to find something that's going to really get the nerves out. So I encourage everybody to do that. Now, the really experienced speakers in the group, Patrick, Jillian, and others, Leon, of course, these guys are just used to it. They don't need that warm-up, but if you're new to this, find that warm-up. It'll help you get on stage and feel a lot more confident. The next thing was anticipating mistakes. We're going to make mistakes up here. So when I used to play piano as a kid, I had this horrible piano teacher, Mr. Kalinsky. I even, saying his name, it's like Voldemort. And if you look at my fingers, you can still see the scars that he actually put on my fingers. Because what would happen is when I was in practice with him, in my lesson, if I made a mistake, he had this ballpoint pen that just would stab my fingers, right? Now, this is very common. Now, I've actually heard from friends that they actually had a bamboo stick and they got whacked with bamboo sticks, so I actually got off easy as far as I'm concerned. But the mistakes that were heard, or that I heard in that practice, I really, really worked hard to not actually make them on stage in my different recitals and so forth. Now, the one thing that was good about Mr. Kalinsky, though, is that he always reminded me, okay, do your absolute best up on stage, but remember, you're going to make mistakes because you're going to be nervous. You're sitting up in front of this crowd. You're going to be worrying about making a good impression, and your mom and dad are in the crowd and so forth. But just anticipate those mistakes and don't let them hang you up in the middle of when you're speaking. Learn to roll with them. That's really, really important. So a point of elevation for Kevin tonight, there's a couple of times he got hung up. Just learn to roll through it and keep on moving. So the last item, and this is something that is exemplified by the best speakers in the group, and Tom, I'm gonna actually point you out in particular because you get up here and you have a very powerful presence on stage, right? So when you get up here, you wanna really think about that in terms of bringing out the power in yourself. When you have that power, when you feel like you're proud to be up here, like you've prepared, you've warmed up, you've done all that, your body language changes. The way that you approach your speech changes as well. So when you're standing up here and you're feeling a little bit nervous, first thing that typically happens is you can see it in a person's body language. Their shoulders are a little bit forward, right? They're a little bit cautious and moving towards the stage, and they're back here. What you want to do is you really want to open yourself up, and you want to find your power. Now, I don't know if anybody listens to Jordan Peterson or not, but he talks about that a harmless person, right, is not a moral person, right? And so this is where I think you might be able to find some power in this. So somebody who cannot create harm has no ability to actually employ morality because they don't have to hold themselves back. They're simply harmless. They're like a mouse. So if you want to try to find some power in yourself, remember, you are powerful, right? And you can create harm, right? If you were in a fight, somebody's really got to take you out. They're going to have to fight to take you out, like Liam, right? Don't mess with this dude. He's got stories about bouncing at bars which will make your toes curl. Well, you need to break anybody's toes, but a few arms and legs. But it's the same thing. You have to take that mentality in and you have to say, like, I'm powerful and I can take somebody in a fight and find that power, but then you're holding it back. And as a result of that, it comes out of you. You can see it on stage if you know that that person's got power on stage. And when they speak and they're authentic about what they're saying, you're going to believe it. Now, Tom did a fantastic job of that, and I don't want to mess with you because I can tell you're a powerful dude.
Don't mess with me. Don't
Mess with you. You want a piece of this?
That sucks. So bring it.
Yeah, we still have time, guys.
We still have How are we doing for time? Anyway? There were a couple things I did actually want to identify specifically about people who got up on stage and did really fantastic jobs. Specifically, Nancy. This is the first time you actually got up on stage, correct? Right? You've done, I think, a couple of table topics outside of this, but this was the first time you actually did a role, right? You did fantastic. You got up on stage, you were very well prepared, and you could tell that you came to say something that was very meaningful. And so I just wanted to say, congratulations, you did a fantastic job up there. Tina, this was like the best I've ever seen you up on stage. Like you just like, you have so much confidence today, and you're just like up here, and you're like, bang the gavel, everybody. I'm up here. Meeting's starting. So really well done. David, the education session today. Where is David? Did he leave? Oh, he pieced out. Oh, okay. Well, I can throw him under the bus then. Very well, what I have to say. No, but I thought the education session today was actually one of the best I've ever heard. He was very well prepared. He had those 3 items to identify what it was that the greeter was supposed to accomplish. He went through them very well, and then he refreshed us at the very end of the speech. Now, I should probably remember what those 3 items were, but I don't, but he did a very good job. I just remember it. He did a great job. Let's see here. Oh, and table topics master Joseph. Joseph did a great job as well tonight. I believe he's gone too, isn't he? Yeah. Oh, everybody's pieced out. Yeah, well that's it really. Everybody did a fantastic job tonight. I just like everybody to try and think about preparing themselves right before they get on stage. Get those nerves out. You can feel them in here. Like I even have them before I get on stage, but I go back there and I literally was jumping up and down back there just to get them out. That's how I prepare. If you find your own way, please share it with the rest of us and maybe we can use that as well. Thank you.
We've all been evaluated. We're going to get a chance to hear back from the guests now. And to do that, I'd like to re-welcome back up our greeter. Please welcome Jillian.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. What a fabulous meeting tonight. Agreed, you did a fantastic job and Tina's rocking it. I would like to give our guests, whether you're returning, whether you're new, whether you've snuck in, the opportunity to give us, let's see, how much time do we have? When I give you, when I call you, if you could stand up, please, and just in a sentence, let us know how you enjoyed the meeting. If there's something that we need to work on, you can also let us know that, okay? So once again, beginning with William. There it is.
This is the first time I come here, and I think it's a good place. I can improve my language, practice my public speaking skills, and match many friends.
Good.
So yeah, it's a good place. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
That was a sentence that had lots of comments, so that was good.
Yeah.
So, you got under the wire there. Okay, so this is the feedback part. I'm going to give, where's Chad? The three things were welcome, introduce, and feedback. So now, Jordan, if you have some feedback for us. Where's Jordan? Jordan, great.
Yeah, I found everyone very welcoming, and it just felt really easy to get up and speak. So.
Congratulations. And Paige, there she is.
It's really comforting to know how many other people have nerves, and to hear people talk about that is nice. It makes you feel like, you know, you can improve and you will get better.
Yes.
But it kind of brings people together that everyone has the same issue, so that's nice to know.
Yes, yes, we all do and have had.
So Beeping had a very nice flow from you greeting us outside and making us feel very welcome to the speeches and evaluations, and I see how there's progression comes from the whole experience. So thank you.
Yeah. Congratulations for getting us. Another one of our speaker guests.
So it was very nice to see people of so many backgrounds just to come together and like try to achieve something together, like try to improve your public speaking. So I really learned a lot about, you know, how different people struggle with different problems. So it was really nice.
Good, thank you. Thanks for getting up too. Thanks, Steve, you snuck in. Welcome,
Yes, I
Steve.
did.
Welcome.
Thank you, thank you.
Maybe you can tell us a little bit about what brought you here and what you thought of the meeting.
Well, apologies for being late. I have 2 teenage daughters, and I was averting dual homework crisis this evening. And so I got to observe the second half, so I can only give you a half of feedback from a half of a sentence. But what I observed, what I thought was interesting, was how much experience plays into the role. And I found myself thinking a lot about how that is the key to getting better, among others, but how experience plays such a big role just doing it.
Very good, thank you. This happens overnight, guys. Like it really does take getting up here, and so that's why when the guests get up on their first time here and actually begin the ball rolling, that's how you start to get momentum. So thanks for that feedback very much, Steve. And Brittany, we're going to go to Brittany.
Tonight was actually very entertaining. I felt like I was at Roastmasters and not Toastmasters, and that it was your roast. I love that though. It was so good. I had a lot of fun and I laughed a lot. Good, thank you.
There's Erica. There's Eric. Yeah, first up. Where do you go?
I really enjoyed tonight. Jeff's evaluation was well worth the price of admission. But getting up there was not as hard as I thought it was going to be, so I'm doing it again soon.
Good, thank you.
I really enjoyed tonight. You guys were great. I laughed a lot. I would like to come back.
Good. I like to see it. And finally, Miguel, where do you go?
Exactly. So I felt very good energy. That's why I keep coming since 4 weeks ago. And I took some pieces of advice that I will use in my daily basis. So it was good.
Good. learning more about membership, this evening, I think Constantine, there he is, Constantine, our president extraordinaire, he will be the one to grab at the end of the meeting, talk about paperwork, talk about money, talk about how much fun it is to be here every Monday night. Thank you for being here.
All right, just got one last little bit of business before I can release you all for the evening, and that's announcements. So, we do have announcements? Okay, that is why we're here. All right, so I'm gonna bring up Constantine to do an announcement, and if you have any other announcements, just filter around. Okay.
Thanks, everyone. Just a reminder that we do have our posted toasters traditionally after the meeting, and please join Doug at Lucky Tacos on June 1st. And you're most welcome to help us to clear up the space right away and just go and have some fun. Meanwhile, our leadership is having a meeting tonight, so please let's be organized and do this as soon as possible, because all officers do want to go home too. And if our dear guests have questions, as Jillian mentioned, feel free to reach out to me right once we're done. Thank you so much.
Yes, please do go to Lucky Taco. It's very delicious. I recommend the nachos. All right. There is another announcement.
Okay, I am actually also your division director, and I have been asked to make an announcement this evening based on, as Constantine talked about, there's a bigger Toastmasters International that we are a part of, and we are part of a district, half of our province, and we are having an awards night this coming Sunday evening from 4:30 to 8. We'll be giving out awards for people who have achieved incredible things in Toastmasters, and everybody's welcome. It is at Bar 1, which is a restaurant on West Broadway, 1759 West Broadway, 4:30 p.m. Everyone's welcome. The VP of Toastmasters International, Margaret Page, who is from Vancouver, who's an amazing lady, will be speaking, giving a keynote that evening as well. So if you want to learn more about that, let me know. I've got the info and hope to see you there.